Hey everyone, welcome back to Pause Mode. This week's episode comes days after I finished the PlayStation 4 remaster of Darksiders, a fantastic action-adventure game featuring one of 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. There are so many excellent finishing moves that the game allows you to see that it made me start thinking about all the ways you're allowed to dispose of opponents in video games. After giving it some thought, I realized there are 5 specific types of final moves that make me smile every time I perform them, and I decided it was time to share. Let's get started. Coming at number 5, Fatalities. Probably the most iconic move when it comes to truly finishing your opponent, Mortal Kombat's signature creation dates all the way back to the series' origins in 1992. Faced with the unbelievable popularity of Capcom's Street Fighter II at the arcades, series creators Ed Boon and John Tobias decided that they'd take a more realistic and frankly darker approach to the genre. Besides characters using actual weapons like knives and spears, the then newly released game asks you to finish off your opponent. For some, that simply meant just hitting them again or letting them fall. However, for those that knew the specific button presses, it meant a truly gruesome end to their rival, with the opponent's head being removed, being burned alive, or even having their entire spinal column removed. It wasn't just visual, visceral experience, it was a surefire way to truly embarrass the other player in a crowded arcade. Speaking of embarrassing, a fun little personal history for you. I was a Street Fighter player a full year before MK hit arcades, and in looking over the moves list, the magazine I had been reading didn't explain that the fatalities happened at the end of the round. My first ever play of Mortal Kombat involved me picking Sonya and having the other person pummel me senseless since I couldn't figure out why I wasn't able to one-hit kill him in the round. Sad but true. Oddly enough, a mid-round fatality would eventually happen in games like Guilty Gear and Bloodsport. Sliding into the number 4 spot are Super and Ultra moves. Unlike fatalities, super moves can be used anytime in the round so long as you have the proper meter or health requirements. Super moves have been given various names over the years based on the developer, with variations including desperation moves, final attacks, super arts, and more. This super move can be traced back to SNK's early days with Art of Fighting 1. There, you could learn the super fireball move from a bonus game. From there, Fatal Fury 2 introduced them as standard features, and from there, the fighting world would never be the same. Super combos are one of my favorite ways to finish off an opponent because they're equal parts flashy, ego-boosting, and in some situations, a means of a last desperate attempt to get your ass out of a corner-pounding loss. Here's another personal little anecdote. Desperation moves are also amazing friendship builders. Years ago in a Florida home, I was playing Fatal Fury Special with my friend Chris on his then newly acquired Neo Geo AES system. He was the cool kid. Taking turns trying out the characters and seeing all their moves, I was struggling with Geese Howard's Desperation, which is the monstrosity motion you see below. Unable to pull it off, I went back to good old Terry Bogard, and in being the jerk that he is, Chris picked Geese. Our fight waged on, and during one round I jumped at him, and sure enough, at the last goddamn moment, that little bastard pulled off Geese's special move perfectly, sending me to an early continue screen and gluing my pride back together again. 25 years later, he's currently climbing the Street Fighter charts, and I'm here telling you about it, so at least you know who the better fighter is. It's him. Funny enough, this leads us right into my third favorite way to finish a fight, with a last-second victory. This honestly could have been my number 1 vote, but there's just too much love in the final 2 selections. Regretfully, no footage to show during this sequence, but honestly, do you really need it? Just the very mention of a last-minute victory already made you think back to a specific moment or two that you believed was going to be a horrible loss, but ended up being one of the most glorious comebacks of all time. Like a Hollywood trope slapped onto a fantastic actor, your final act of nothing to lose resulted in a memorable experience and a conversation piece that can last for years. This can be in any genre too, like pulling ahead of first place as you cross the finish line in a racing game, to squeaking by in a single hit point in a role-playing game boss fight. One of my all-time favorite such wins came in a round of Street Fighter Alpha 3's 2-on-1 mode, or dramatic battle. I was on break at the game store I was working at, so a coworker and a friend decided to hop onto our PlayStation system. I was Ken, one was Cammy, and the other was E Honda, I think. It was the two of them versus me, and as it got down to the wire, with my Ken only having 1 hit left in him, I had E Honda backed into the corner, but Cammy was behind me, about to do a jump attack. What I meant to do was throw a hurricane kick as I faced E Honda, and hope it caught Cammy as she jumped in. As I desperately tried to get the controller motion off, my finger slipped and hit the punch instead of kick, and what happened was miraculous. The computer read it as a dragon punch, but towards Cammy. As my coworker came down from his jumping kick, my Ken spun around, connected the uppercut perfectly and knocked him out, and as I was coming down from the move, both of them were so stunned that I quickly held down and jammed on the roundhouse button. As Ken landed, he performed his leg sweep, knocking out E Honda and giving me the victory. The entire sequence lasted 2 to 3 seconds tops, but the shock of the win combined with the on-screen visual sent us reeling backwards from the kiosk in laughter, disbelief, and in my friend's case, a few swear words. I can feel my chest puffing out just thinking about it. Number 2 on my favorite ways to end a fight is with Mr. Shoddy, Mr. Super Pew Pew, Little Miss Double Barrel. That's right, the shotgun. In 35 plus years of playing video games, no weapon has ever made me happier to have and use. It doesn't matter if it's a Doom standard fare, a modified version of Fallout 4, the pickup in Metal Slug, or my sweet, sweet Geth Plasma in Mass Effect. The shotgun is my favorite firearm to finally rid myself of an enemy character. There's just something about a shotgun that can't be recreated with other weapons. Sure, a sniper rifle will keep you safe at a distance, and a pistol is a properly balanced weapon from all different angles, but there's just something cathartic about being face to face with an annoying computer-controlled minion and watching them ragdoll across the map because I just happened to pull the trigger while being close enough to count the veins in their eyes. When you combine that sensation with Fallout's slow-motion VAT system, or snagging one when there's a horde of enemies in front of you, you feel like you are the most powerful hero in the universe, or at least in Housewares. So with all that fun and gun in the digital sun, what could my all-time favorite way to end a fight be? I'll give you a hint. It's a cliffhanger ending. That's right, sending someone off a cliff, or a building, or a mountain, or a watchtower. Oh, the possibilities are endless. This love affair goes back almost the entire timeline of video games, back when you could shamelessly toss vegetables and Shy Guys into the very pits meant for you in Super Mario Bros. 2. Knocking someone off the playfield isn't just one of the most cathartic kills, but it's a move that provides so much insight into the game you're playing. For example, if the enemy just disappears like in Spider-Man, you can tell they didn't bother programming the void below. In Darksiders, the entire pit is programmed. So not only do you get that satisfying ragdoll thunk, but you get to see all the lovely souls pop out of the defeated enemy and head straight for you. How many times have you thrown someone off into a watery, non-reachable area to see if they programmed the splash? And then giggled when they did. Vintage games like Renegade, where you could watch the poor villain literally bounce before falling into the void, made me smile every time. The Tomb Raider reboot's rope yank move was like a blessing from the gods, second only to using Mass Effect's push or throw by axe to brighten a moment. There's also that one scene in ME2's DLC with the hammerhead where you just knock those Geth right the heck off that cliff. Now, if I was able to send someone off an edge from a shotgun blast as a last-minute victory, well, my friend, my whole week would be made. And then I have to reset the save so I can do it again. And there you have it, my 5 favorite ways to end a fight. With so many options to choose from in the gaming world, surely you have some of your own favorites. Post your personal top 5 ways of ending a fight, and let's get the conversation started in the comment section below. Share the video with friends to see who has the best moves. Alright guys, that does it for this episode. I'll see you in 2 weeks on Game Rave TV with more PlayStation goodness. Be safe, play games, and have a great week. I'll see you then.